Hi, I'm Alexandra, and I'm a landscape artist who focuses on the natural beauty of my New England home. I just got back from an art trip to Ecuador, where I went to get inspired by something new and learned a lot about myself and traveling for art in the process. Today, I'm doing a pen drawing of this village located inside a volcano. Cool, right? There's only two in the world, the other one's in Japan. It's definitely out of my comfort zone, and I'm totally new to pen and ink drawing, so I found some things that I would like to do better next time, but I hope you enjoy it while I share with you all my tips. So here's my 5 tips on what to avoid when doing your own art travel. Number 1. Touristy tours will result in touristy photos. It's hard to wander off for candid photos or find unusual light effects when you're part of a set program. Even on private tours, unless your guide is a landscape painter, they won't know what you're looking for. I ended up with a lot of touristy photos of myself in front of things like the equator, or landmarks, or cool photos of hummingbirds. And those are really neat, but they're definitely not the kind of thing that I tend to draw or paint. And so I didn't get as many photographs for reference out of the trip as I really wanted to. Number 2, definitely lower the pressure. I needed to tone down my hopes of perfectionism. I had gone into the trip hoping that I would find some sort of grand artistic expression and inspiration and spice up things with new art. And every time that I made a painting or a drawing that just felt blah, especially since I didn't bring my normal medium and I wasn't painting the kind of stuff that I normally would be, then I just felt a little bit let down. And since I don't tend to do a lot of urban architectural drawing, spending a lot of time in Quito maybe wasn't the best idea. Then when I spent a lot of money to go see cool things out in the countryside, it actually made my inner child feel a lot more pressure rather than inspiration. My inner artist felt a little overwhelmed and on stage and like it had become really high stakes. And that taught me that I needed to make things lower pressure, lower stakes next time round. Number 3. Not everywhere is plein air friendly. I had a great time in Ecuador and everyone was super nice. I would definitely encourage you to travel there, but I didn't anticipate that it would be not the best place to do plein air. If there's a lot of petty crime, wealth disparity, or you don't speak the language well, you might not feel comfortable sitting on a crowded or an empty street. It might not be so wise to take a fancy camera or a large day bag around with you. And I definitely got some odd looks and some concerned grandmas coming up to me whenever I would bring out my art stuff. Some people might feel more comfortable standing out in a crowd, but that's not really my personality, and I think I should have thought about that before I took a risk on doing plein air somewhere out of my comfort zone. Tip number 4, solo travel isn't for everyone. I love my alone time at home and in my studio. It's really nourishing for me, and I thought that I would really like traveling by myself. So I was surprised that my loneliness actually affected my creativity and curiosity. After a while, I just missed my partner and my friends and wanted to share the experience with someone. Rather than feeling freed to create by leaving my routine, I actually felt unmoored. This was a great thing to learn about myself because it's definitely easier to travel with someone if you have friends and a partner. And I think that I learned a lot about myself in the process. Tip number 5. You may see the biggest benefit after you get home. Don't just measure the success of your trip by quality or quantity of art you make while away. I ended up making very little art, and my groove was totally thrown off. But when I got back, I felt so inspired by everything back home. I've started to re-explore pen drawing, like you see, and line and wash, and I'm putting less pressure on myself as I improve in these media. I was so inspired on my drive back from the airport by every tree and hill, and so I definitely actually got reinvigorated in my art journey and inspired by my trip, even though it wasn't in the way that I expected. So that's it. I hope you'll benefit from these tips as you do your own art travel. Even though my trip didn't quite go as planned, I'm excited to travel for art again in the future and glad my art practice benefited from being shook up. Please leave a tip or memory of your own about doing art while traveling below. See you next time!